Just as Ayo bent down to finally set himself free, he paused, because no matter how urgent life is, embarrassment still has standards. He lifted his head, scanning around like a guilty man who suddenly remembered God is everywhere. That was when he saw a woman appear in the distance, carrying a bowl of fresh, perfectly yellow plantains on her head. Not just ordinary plantains, the kind that would make you forget your diet and your responsibilities. Immediately, his stomach lost focus. Just like that, the same emergency that dragged him into the bush disappeared. Before we continue, please like and subscribe so that you'll be notified whenever I upload another interesting story. I'd also love to give a big shout out to all my subscribers and viewers. Thank you for supporting this channel. And don't forget to tell me in the comments where you are watching from. Now, get a chilled drink and your best snack, then join me for this interesting story. Everyone in the village knew about the evening market at the edge of the village, the one that opened when the sun was already tired and closed before the rooster even thought of crowing. They called it a blessing because things were cheaper there, and honestly, people don't ask too many questions when prices are low. If rice is cheaper somewhere, even your ancestors will support you to go. The market was calm, cool, and far less noisy than the afternoon market, where people shouted like they were competing for the prize of having the loudest voice. Still, some elders would shake their heads and say, not everything cheap is good. But who listens to elders when tomatoes are selling at half price? Ayo, a young man in the village, was one of those who didn't believe in unnecessary fear. A practical man, always minding his business, except when his stomach decided to mind its own business for him. That evening, after eating more beans than his stomach could handle, his stomach started drumming like a talking drum. He was on his way back from his shop, but there was no time for pride or dignity. He rushed into the nearby bush, holding his stomach like it owed him money, muttering words only he could explain. As he bent down, preparing to relieve himself, he paused. You know that instinct people have to look around before doing anything slightly embarrassing. He raised his head carefully, scanning left and right like a thief who suddenly remembered God is watching. That was when he saw something strange. A woman appeared suddenly in the distance, carrying a bowl of fresh, perfectly yellow plantains on her head. Not just ordinary plantains, the kind that would make you forget your diet and your responsibilities. Immediately, his stomach forgot its mission. Just like that. The same urgency that brought him there disappeared instantly. He stood up slowly, adjusting his trousers with the seriousness of a man who had just been distracted from destiny. What kind of temptation is this? He muttered. But curiosity is stronger than discipline. He began to follow her quietly, his eyes fixed on the plantains, wondering who she was and where she was headed that evening. The woman walked straight into the evening market. Ayo slowed down, pretending he wasn't following her, even though anyone with two working eyes would know he was. The market was already alive. Buyers bargaining, sellers calling, children standing beside their parents. Everything looked normal, but something felt off. It was too organized, too smooth. No arguments, no insults, no, my sister, reduce price now. It was suspicious. He watched the woman closely. Within minutes of arriving, her plantains were gone. Finished, sold like magic. People came, bought without bargaining, and left quietly. Ayo frowned. In this village, no bargaining. Is the price cheaper than expected? Something is wrong somewhere. He looked around more carefully this time. The faces looked normal. They blinked often, smiled softly, and moved normally. But something still felt off. He went home that night, but sleep did not come easily. His mind was doing calculations his brain could not complete. The next day, he tried to convince himself it was nothing. Maybe he was just hungry. Maybe the beans affected his thinking. But deep down, he knew what he saw was not ordinary. That evening, he returned to the market, this time with a mission. The same woman was already there, with a similar type of plantains and the same calm posture. Ayo swallowed hard. He remembered something the elders used to say. If you want to know who is not human, look at them from between your legs. It sounded foolish, but at that moment, foolishness was better than ignorance. He found a quiet corner and bent down slowly, pretending to adjust his slippers. Then carefully, he tried to position his head between his legs to see the market upside down. But before he could even complete the act, kpa! A slap landed on his face with the force of ancestral anger. The sound echoed through the market. Everything stopped. Conversations died. Movements froze. Everyone turned to look at him. Ayo sat on the ground, his face burning like something hot had been rubbed into it. His ears rang, his eyes watered, but one thing was clear. That slap was not from this world. He managed to stand up and walk home, his face swollen and his pride completely destroyed. When his wife Sade saw him, she nearly screamed. "Who beat you like this?" she asked, hands on her head. Ayo waved her off, saying it was nothing, just a small accident, he said. In their village, small accident can mean anything from falling to fighting. She pressured him to speak, but instead, he warned her seriously. Don't ever go to that night market again. Sade looked at him like he had suddenly lost sense. Because of your swollen face, she replied, food is cheaper there, and you want me to suffer in the hot afternoon market? She shook her head. You must explain why I shouldn't first. Ayo had no choice, so he told her everything, from the plantain woman to the slap that nearly rearranged his destiny, and warned her not to tell anyone. She listened quietly, then laughed. So, spirits are now selling plantains? What will we hear next? Instead of listening to her husband's warning, she shared the story with other women. Not because she believed it, but because villagers cannot keep stories to themselves. Soon, the whole village knew. Some believed, some laughed, some said Ayo needed deliverance. But one thing changed. People became curious. And curiosity, as always, started leading people into trouble. One evening, Sade herself decided to go to the market, not because she didn't believe her husband, but because she wanted proof. If it is true, I will see it. If it is not, then my husband will hear the end of it. She walked into the market confidently, greeting sellers and moving from stall to stall like nothing was wrong. She bought tomatoes from a quiet woman and decided to test her. As she paid, she accidentally dropped the money. Bending down slowly, her heart began to beat fast. Let me see what my husband saw, she whispered to herself. But what Sade saw was worse than anything she imagined. The woman was not standing on her feet. Instead, beneath her body was something unnatural. A head with rough standing hair in place of legs. Sade froze. Her breath stopped. Her heart nearly jumped out of her chest. She screamed, loud and sharp. The kind of scream that doesn't ask for help. It announces disaster. When she raised her head, every single person in the market was staring at her. Their eyes, red, burning like fire in Hamatan, and they were moving toward her slowly. Panic broke out instantly. The few humans in the market ran in different directions, shouting, falling, pushing. The spirits chased them, not running but gliding, slow, steady, and terrifying. Sade ran as fast as her legs could carry her, her wrapper almost falling off, her heart pounding heavily. She made it home, breathless and shaking. Ayo saw her and understood immediately. No words were needed, but he was grateful she returned home alive. From that day, the evening market was abandoned. No one went there again. And any time someone mentioned cheap goods, someone would quietly say, "Make sure the seller is human first." Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment your thoughts, and share for more interesting stories.